Well, we'll call this meeting to order on this sunny afternoon. Staff, oh, I forgot, we have to do the minutes first, we can't do that. So, I'm assuming everybody got them, and had a chance to read the minutes. Does anybody have any, questions or comments for staff on the minutes?
I've already talked to Jessica about it. Yes, I have a comment. When we did the motion for Mr. Sloan's building, I stressed that he come back with details drawn by a structural engineer, not an interior designer.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, that is a critical difference. Any others? It was a long meeting. So I of course had a minor one. Page 9, just because everybody messes it up, should be National Register or National Register of Historic Places, but not National Historic Register. But any other? All right, in that case, can we get a motion? I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes with the corrections as noted.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now staff.
And I will try to keep this short and sweet, since we actually have a short and sweet agenda today. So our first item, item 3A, is Historic Restoration Grant Extension for 315 North Church Street. This project was originally part of the 2022 HRG year. And as you'll remember, we're always kind of a year ahead of time. And so this was a 2022 request. It's for redoing many items on this building, including repairing rotten wood, repainting, a new roof, exterior lighting, repairing porch pickets. So I think we split it into about 8 different items. So originally this restoration grant was funded at 16% of the final project cost, not to exceed $8,644.80. The applicant originally requested a 12-month extension, which gave him a new due date of October 17th of this year. He then reached out to staff again, requesting another 9-month extension, which, if approved, would give his new due date as July 17th, 2024. So this is his second extension request. At this time, he has completed the roof, paid for it in full, and already submitted that receipt. And then he just secured a contractor to do the other wood replacement, painting, items like that. He had told us, and it's also in your packet, same thing, labor shortage, trying to get people scheduled, things of that nature. And of course, as always, staff does not make recommendations on extension requests, but I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
What is the customary extension amount?
So usually Hlpc has done either 1, 3, 6, or 9 months. 12-month extensions have been done in the past, but aren't typical because it straddles 2 different HRG grant cycles. So usually it's kind of that 3, 6, or 9 month.
And then how many times
So there's not a set time. We've seen, there have been several different applications that have received, I believe 2 has been the maximum. I'd have to go back and double check, but 1 to 2 is not atypical.
Okay. And this is 2, he's on 2?
Yes, this would be his second request.
Okay.
But we have there's actually no guidelines or rules.
No, there's not. Yeah, and most people do the 3, 6, or 9, and staff kind of recommends that on their part, because some people will come back to us and say, I'd like, 20 days. I'm like, well, really, but they may get the work done in 20 days, but by the time they invoice, you actually pay, it's a little bit longer. So we're just trying to save the applicant from having to come back to y'all every single month to get it done. But 3, 6, and 9 months is what is typical, but like Chairman Beisel said, there's no guidance on what they can and cannot request or how many times they can do an extension. As a precedent by Hlpc, normally if the applicant has started work and proven they are working on the project or given reasons why the work has not started, it hasn't been a big issue, but that, of course, is up to Hlpc's discretion.
Okay.
Other questions? I'm just, the roof is a big part of that, so that's done. Any motions?
Yes, I make a motion that we extend that was the right way to word this.
Yeah.
That we go ahead and grant has already started the work.
I'll second that.
All in favor of the extension?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right.
So our next item is another historic restoration grant extension, and it is pretty typical to see all these on our October thing because staff tries to get all of our HRGs kind of wrapped up before we start our next cycle, or at least get a status update. So this one is for 207 East Main Street, Mr. Johnny Moore. Originally, this was funded at 25% of the final project cost, not to exceed $8,918. This was for extensive foundation work. It's the Merle Norman building that's almost directly across the street from us. Foundation work, and then replacing 6 wooden windows that were existing in the building. Mr. Moore contacted our office, said that they have the windows in hand. They have a contractor, should be starting work probably next week. And so he is requesting a 1-month extension. The foundation work has already been completed, and they're pretty confident they can have it done in 1 month and have everything turned back into us. So if Hlpc approves, the grant extension would go to November 17th of 2023. And I should have mentioned this earlier, the extension starts at the actual due date. So his actual due date is October 17th. He's just doing this a little early. So the 1 month would extend from October 17th to November 17th, if approved. And also the foundation work, he gave us the receipts for that as well, so that is completed, paid for, windows are in hand, just took a little bit longer to acquire those.
I make the motion that we give him the 1-month extension.
I'll second that motion. Oh, sorry.
I'll second that.
All right. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Thank you.
All right, our next item is another HRG extension request. This is for 408 East Main Street. The Balcony Boutique is what most people call it. Originally, this project was approved for 15% of the final project cost, not to exceed $787.50. This project was for restoring some masonry on the back of the building. There were several holes that bricks had just fallen out over the years, and also repainting all of the wood trim on that building, and also, I believe, the underside of the awning. So for the painting. So the painting has been completed. Again, that receipt has been turned in. The applicant has a mason on contract to complete the work, and they are requesting a 1-month extension, which, if approved, would give their due date of November 17th of 2023.
Any questions of staff? I just hope they can, like 1 month, I hope they can get it done, but that's all right.
That's gonna be- yeah.
Yeah.
And we do regularly check in with our applicants once they have a new date. We do set reminders, usually if it's a 1-month extension. After about 2 weeks, we start calling them just to see their status. Not that they have to turn in anything early, but just to remind them that, you have 2 more weeks to turn this in. If you need an extension, you can request that as well. So we do try to communicate that to make sure that work is being done, they understand what their timeline is, and can get their receipts turned in, because at the end of the day, we want to give money away. We want to restore these buildings and help them do that.
I make a motion that we accept the extension.
I second it.
Questions or comments? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. D.
And our last item on the agenda today, since we are trucking right through it, is a historic restoration grant reimbursement request for 418 North Mound Street. The applicant is Mr. Thomas Tracy. He was approved to restore 23 wooden windows to match existing windows on his building at 418 North Mound. The estimated cost was $25,300. The applicant provided staff with copies of receipts and invoices in the amount of $26,830.32. Originally, Hlpc funded him at 20% of the final cost, not to exceed $5,060. Since the project's final cost was over that dollar amount, we recommend that not to exceed amount, which is $5,060, since the project has been completed and all the receipts have been turned in. Here you can see the expense report that was also in your packet. And of course, it's a restoration of the wooden windows with the woodwork and the painting. And you'll see in a few of the photos, there is siding being painted around these windows. That was not part of the HRG request. That's part of a separate COA. So for the HRG request, he has completed all of his work. And most of the windows are on the upper floor, so it's a little bit harder to see in some of the after photos, but he has completed all of the work.
This is the second or third window round
Third.
for him.
This is the
Yes.
third. He's working his way around his building.
yeah.
I believe he started with the south side and now he's on the north side of it. So this is the third time he's
I
done
was gonna
this.
say that committee
there he
members
is.
realize this is the third
Yes.
round for him, yeah.
And Mr. Tracy's wonderful. He turns in everything on time. He even made the Excel sheet for me, which is great. So he just handed it all in, so that was wonderful.
There he is working full-time.
Any questions of Jessica? All right, anyone make a motion on this one?
Well, I'll make a motion that we go ahead and pay the man.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Vicki. All right, any questions or comments? As usual, this is good work.
He does very good work.
All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, give them the good news.
We will start his check request tomorrow.
Jessica, where do they pick these checks up?
They can pick them up from the recreation center, or if there's someone out of town, or if they would just rather us, we can also mail it to them.
I just had one of the applicants ask me that today, and I told them your office, but I thought I'd better clarify that.
Yes, they can come by the recreation center anytime during our open hours, and they just have to sign off on who picked up the check, just so I make sure it's someone that is approved to do it, and then they can come grab it. All right, that's all I have.
Sounds good.
All right, adjourned.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, everybody.
Short and sweet.